On today's Patriot Nation podcast, we are joined by Max Millington, Max Wheezy, to come talk about some Patriots versus Panthers. We are also going to do a 5-minute fantasy, just us guys though, 5-minute fantasy, breaking down some of those ridiculous fantasy stuff going on this week. It's a heck of a show, so buckle up and cue the music. Max, thanks for coming through, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming through. It's going to be, listen, Panthers all of a sudden, I don't know, 4-4. Like, I guess. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about these Panthers?
Yeah, it's been a crazy year. I'll say at this point in the season, it feels a little bit better, but still sort of the same questions about the overall future of the team, not only this year but moving forward. But one thing that, first of all, let me preface this by saying I'm actually going to be at the game. My wife and I are going, so
Nice.
Excited for that. Wasn't when Cam Newton was on the Patriots and the tickets came out, like the tickets were crazy expensive, and it was like, oh man, we love to go, but not looking like a possibility. But we'll be able to go, thankfully, and I'm just looking forward to a good game. And it's always fun when the Pats and Panthers play. So yeah, I'm super excited for it. And as for the team, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So what's going on with them? Right? Because they start 3-0. They had a big win versus Saints. Obviously, those divisional games can go either way. That's pretty much a given across the league. But started 3-0, right? Then they go to 3-4. They get a win last week in Atlanta. Sam Darnold looked like, oh my God, that was such a steal. Now it's, they're kind of back in, what are they going to do for the future at the position? Obviously, right? People who think running backs don't matter, and I'm kind of in that boat too at some point. I think McCaffrey is the clear exception, simply because you see how much of a drop-off that offense is without him. He looks like he might play Sunday. How much of an impact will he make? Who knows? But yeah, what's going on with them? Does it really start with the loss of Christian McCaffrey? Is that where things kind of started to go downhill?
Yeah, that's funny. I was with you on that, like on running backs not having that much of an effect. We've seen teams like the Patriots and Eagles and other teams win using the running back by committee approach, and we think about all these star running backs, but really that you haven't really seen a team with a star running back win a championship in a very long time. Obviously, the teams with good running backs can get there, but I was like you. I was like, what? It's overrated. We'll be fine. They prepared for this, by bringing Chuba Hubbard on, who is a rookie, but has shown flashes of being able to, run the ball, and we have our weapons. One of the early issues that I didn't think would continue, but has continued, was there wasn't a lot of targets going around for the tight ends and Robbie Anderson. And I thought that would kind of replace some of the pass game production that dropped off with Christian McCaffrey. I was wrong about that. And it really seems like Christian McCaffrey was, huge not only for the team, but specifically for Sam Darnold. I mean, we saw Sam Darnold's play drop off big time since week 3. Part of that, I think, is just him needing to relax, and he can be obviously inconsistent, and we know that about him, but I think part of it too was Christian McCaffrey was a huge safety blanket for him, and him not being there to help out in the run game, and in the pass game, because when he left there's really not much in terms of like a check down or anything like that. It affected the offense, and it affected Sam Darnold. The frustrating part was this past week against Atlanta, I believe we ran the ball. And this includes Sam Darnold's rushes too, because he ran around a lot. I think we had the most rushes, by far that we've ever had this year. Just running the ball, just committing to the run game, and it worked obviously. But we've played teams, before this. The Giants, the Eagles, the Vikings, who are bad against the run. And so I'm frustrated that it did take us this long to commit to the run game. I felt like we should have done that even when Christian McCaffrey went out. However, they did it. It worked, and now we're here. So, yeah, it's been crazy. so far.
I want to jump into the quarterback stuff because I tweeted out earlier, and I'll speak for myself, but I think the Patriots would rather see Sam Darnold than PJ Walker this week. Even without the injuries, I think they're like, that's a guy they can handle. They've shown in the past that they have no issues shutting Sam Darnold offenses down. So as a Panthers fan, who would you rather see at quarterback against the Patriots? Because they've historically struggled with guys like PJ Walker who can create and get out of the pocket a little bit.
That's a great question. I struggle with this a bit because PJ Walker, he did play. He had to play, I think, one game for us last year. It was against the Lions. Yep. We won 20-0, and that was mostly a defensive win. I think he threw like 2 crazy picks in that game. wasn't very good at all in that game, and in some other spots where he came in. So from a passing standpoint, I want Sam Darnold all the way. Like Sam Darnold, as bad as Sam Darnold has been, he's better than PJ Walker. I can tell you that right now.
And is he going to play? I know he didn't participate today, but he was active at practice. Does he kind of have to clear some hurdles?
I think so. The reports today from a lot of local media was that they're not expecting him. That the local media was speculated that Sam Darnold would probably not play. We don't know for sure yet, but that's kind of what I saw. Interestingly enough, Christian McCaffrey is kind of under that same, like, would be surprised if they saw him play, but we'll see. But yeah, if it's PJ, I think you hit something important. Like, you do have to kind of prepare for his dual threat ability. He can move around. He can make things happen with his legs, but I just don't believe in PJ as a passer more than I do Sam, and that's not a high bar. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting when you look at the quarterback situation down there. I'm a guy who, in one of my mock drafts, I advocated for the Patriots trading for Sam Darnold because I thought young guy, like, who knows, and seems like maybe not the best investment. But what are you gonna do? I will say, you mentioned Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson in the Brandon Ayuk witness protection right now. I don't know what the hell's going on. Those two guys both had great years last year, and both just not throwing the ball. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what the deal was with Robbie Anderson this year, so I don't get it. The other thing I wanted to just mention quickly, because I do want to get into the defense, because I feel like that's the matchup that really that we should be looking at. McCaffrey, we talk about, and you and Spags both mentioned it about, where you look at it and say, okay, maybe running back isn't the most important thing, but McCaffrey's not just a running back. He's a running back and a slot receiver. And, he does everything. Like, he touches the ball a million times a game. And it's not like Derrick Henry touches the ball a million times a game. It's like he sometimes is getting the ball in a running play. He can run in between the tackles and obviously hit the outside. He can catch screen passes, but he's also a great route runner to the point where he can line up in the slot and he can run actual wide receiver routes. Like, there's not a lot of guys in the league that can do things like that. And obviously he's electric with the ball in his hand. So, like, that stuff to me where it's like, it's kind of like, okay, yes, of course, he's a running back, but at the same time, it's like he's not just a running back either. You know what I mean? So, that's just my 2 cents on that. But I do want to get into the defense because I feel like the defense is really the matchup and you mentioned the 20-0 victory you guys had earlier in the season. Like, that's where you guys win. In my opinion, at least, that's how you guys beat the Patriots this weekend. Is if your defense is dominant, and certainly the front seven. And now, of course, you got Gilmore in the back, who we'll talk about. But, like, just talk about the front seven of this defense and the problems that they've caused, other players. And obviously some of the guys they have are dominant up front.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see, even in the losses. Obviously, through 3 weeks, we were first in everything. I was just kind of looking at it earlier before this. Even through the at 4-4 now, I think the Panthers are still number 2 in total offense. Still really good against the pass. Top 2 against the pass. Still good against the run. Still good in terms of like points defense allowed and everything like that. I don't know, like, the advanced analytics DVOA or anything like that, but we're still have been pretty successful. Hassan Reddick has turned out to be an extremely great signing for the Panthers. I think he leads the team in sacks. Obviously, you have Brian Birds there. A guy that doesn't get a lot of love, obviously, because he's a defensive tackle and it's only his second year. But Derek Brown, who was our I think he was our number 8 draft pick, I want to say, last year. Him in the interior, that whole line is great. And then you have Shaq Thompson come back off of injury. You mentioned, well, obviously we'll talk about Gilmore and the secondary that we put together. Like from front to back, it's great. But yeah, I mean, it really starts up front, and those guys have done a great job. They've been playing really hard. We just, from an offensive perspective, some of the things that have hurt us in a couple games prior to the Atlanta game was we just kept them on the field too long. We weren't able to sustain drives, and they get tired out, and they let points get scored, and that's been an issue. But yeah, they played hard. They played hard all year.
But before we move on to Gilmore, I got to ask you about my guy Davion Nixon. Spags knows, Pat knows too. Before the draft, I'm the world's biggest Davion Nixon fan. So I wanted to ask, as a guy who's been watching him every week, what do you think? Every week that he's played.
You know what, Davion Nixon, I think he hasn't like jumped off the page for me. That's not like saying that he's not good at all. I think there was one particular game, and I can't remember it at all right now. So I'm sorry. I
was it early on against the Saints? Because I think that.
I think there was it looks like he's out for the year. He had a knee injury last week, so I didn't realize that. But I think I remember like hearing his name because of a play he made early in the year. I think it was the Saints game, but I mean the cool. It kind of reminds me of in terms of the way the Panthers have gotten talent on defense. It really reminds me of the early Seattle days when Pete Carroll was kind of fresh out of college and he was able to kind of identify really, really good defensive talent out of the draft because he had just left the college space. Like I kind of use that comparison when I say to what this regime has done under Matt Rule. Matt Rule coming from college, he's been really good at grabbing guys from the draft on defense and hitting on those picks. So yeah, no, I'm excited about all our defense, but yeah, it's been fun to watch so far.
Let's get into it. Here, Stefan Gilmore. Like, God damn it. Like, I'm still upset about it. And, we got Tommy Curran and Phil Perry and a bunch of the other guys. Oh, well, it was the right move. You got to trade him and this and that and whatever. But, like, seeing what other guys went for and knowing what they could have and should have gotten for him. And, of course, he gets a pick in his first game with the Panthers. How excited are you that the Patriots completely screwed up and you guys ended up with Stefan Gilmore, especially after, like, you lose J.C. Horn. Then you guys traded for the kid from Florida, C.J. Henderson, right? Henderson, so you got Henderson and now you got Gilmore. Like, all of a sudden, a secondary that was super depleted looks like it might be able to compete here, right?
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool to get him. And I'll say this, like, I think it's going to be great for this year. Obviously, when we got him, we were all a lot more optimistic about, the future of this season, and it's still not. I mean, we're 4-4. Like, it's not over. It's a long season still. But I think even now it's just really cool that, first of all, it shows that this team is a lot more aggressive. The Panthers that I grew up watching over the years, like, they'd make some moves here and there, but we're extremely aggressive to grab free agents and make trades and all that stuff. So that was one thing, but also I think if the Panthers can figure out how to sustain it in terms of, like, okay, what are they going to do with this core that they have now? You've got Dante Jackson back there. They have to make decisions on paying him. Extending Gilmore. They've got Bouye, like you mentioned, Henderson and JC Horn coming back. Like, in the next couple of years, you could have something special there especially with the secondary, with the whole defense. But I thought it was cool. Like, obviously he can still play. He's going to do a lot for the young guys in terms of mentoring them. Like, I love the whole defensive side of the ball in terms of the guys that we have, but especially that secondary. Like, they're going to learn from each other and play well. I'm excited to watch Stefan Gilmore for the rest of the year.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I one of those things for me that I'm so mad because even if, and you mentioned it, like even if they don't sign him, they're going to get a comp pick back for him, and you're going to end up trading up in the draft, to rent Stefan Gilmore for a year, which is mind numbing. But anyway, so all right, so here's my question, and we have a few more things we want to get into, but I think Patriots fans, honestly, especially after the win last week, are looking past this game. And they're like, the Panthers, like they suck and this and that. And I just don't feel like that. That's just not true. Like, especially you look at the defense and you mentioned it, like, yeah, okay, the offense struggles here and there, but like, and if Darnold's whoever the quarterback is, like not an elite quarterback, obviously. Right. But like, that's a damn good defense that you guys got to go over there. And like the Patriots offensive line's played better the last few weeks, but there's no guarantee that they're going to hold up this week. So just in, your opinion here, we walk out of there, Sunday at 4:00, and Carolina's won. Why is Carolina won the game, in your opinion, if that's going to happen?
It's going to be because we ran the ball for sure. I think the funny thing, Bill Belichick has a great challenge, I think, in terms of, because obviously we know he's great at, taking away the best weapon. If Christian McCaffrey doesn't end up playing, and Sam Darnold doesn't end up playing, then, it's going to be more of a challenge for him to figure out who exactly do I need to shut down. DJ Moore, obviously, is another guy you'd look at. But honestly, if I'm a Panthers fan, like I don't want to see more than, 18 passes from PJ Walker. Like I want to see the Panthers establishing the run, keeping the ball away from the Patriots offense. When the Patriots offense is on the field, I want the defense to be more opportunistic. One thing that they haven't done a great job of this year is takeaways. We're great, at sacks and third and getting off the field on third down and all that stuff, but takeaways have been league average to below league average this year for us, and that's a spot where I think that will help us win the games, getting takeaways, and then obviously the offense, taking advantage when they get the ball back on those opportunities. So getting takeaways and running the ball, winning time of possession would be the three keys, I think, to win the game for the Panthers.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I've been told time of possession doesn't matter by a certain Pat's Pulpit writer and social media manager who I hope is listening, because it does, because human beings play the game of football. So hard to agree on the time of possession. I think that's been big for the Patriots this year too. Like for a team that everybody thought this year they were going to run the ball 30 times a game, and they haven't, but time of possession has been huge. In all their wins, they've led in time of possession, and all their losses, they haven't. Like it matters.
That, and I think too, from a Patriots standpoint, I think last week was, and I tweeted it out before the game. You kind of hate to slap a must-win on it, but you're coming out of there 3-5 or 4-4 versus a win versus a really good quarterback and superior opponent. Something that they hadn't. Their 3 wins that came against the Jets and Texans. I think they're back. I think this is a team that controls their own destiny. And you look at the AFC. I mean, it's obviously different with Carolina, but it's wide open, right? They're a game out of a playoff spot, and that game versus Cleveland, and not to look ahead, is huge for them, right? Because you beat the Chargers, who you know how things are playing out right now. You're going to be competing with them for one of those wild card spots, and likely Cleveland too. I know things are kind of going south for them. Baker's not healthy, but I mean that's a really good defensive front that they're going to have to go against. So in terms of the Patriots, I think I like where they're at right now. Obviously they're 2-3 plays away. Like it's so cliche to say, but I mean they're 2-3 plays away from being a top 4 seed and pushing Buffalo for the division.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's undeniably true as well. I mean, it's tough. It's one of those things. Patriots have yet to win against the NFC this year. 0-3 against the NFC. Not great, right? And then I think they have who in the South have they play? Atlanta, which they play the week after the Cleveland game. So winless against the NFC thus far. So I mean, I guess if you're going to lose to a conference, I guess you'd rather lose to the opposite conference. And I think the same is true here for Carolina, because now you look at it where it's like, you know, I think, and I don't know about you, I don't want to speak for you, Max, but like I feel like the expectations going into this year weren't super high. Like, obviously you want to be good and you want to compete, but like I don't think that necessarily you guys were thinking about competing for the division. Certainly, maybe not the division. And then you guys start out 3-0, and it's almost like a little bit paper tiger situation where the Saints are a good team, but like you didn't really play a lot of good competition. And similar to the Patriots, where the Patriots had 3 wins against terrible teams, right? And it's just like, yeah, we beat up on bad teams, and that's what you're supposed to do. But like, then when you start playing good teams, similar to the Broncos are in the same boat. Like they start playing good teams, and it's like, oh man, maybe we're not as good as we thought. So, but getting a win, and it's kind of the same for the Patriots and the Panthers. Like getting a win this weekend against the Patriots after the Patriots went on the road and beat LA, like would be a nice feather in the cap for Carolina, make them feel awfully good moving forward.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the issue is that this season, like we're coming off, this is the second year of our head coach Matt Rule's tenure. We're coming off a I believe it was 5-win season last year. Like, realistic expectations was you win maybe a couple more games than you did the year before, 7-8 wins. Like you're happy with that. That is progress, right? And I think, like you mentioned, the 3-0 start, but also the defense played so well that you're like, okay, like this is a defense that can win you a lot of games. Like if the offense can just keep up, we'll be okay. And somebody that works for that's in the Charlotte media tweeted out the other day, and I completely agree. Like it's frustrating because you're right. This would be a huge win for the Panthers, but also if this year sort of falls apart, then you kind of only have to look yourself in the mirror because you lost a very winnable game against Philadelphia when you had the lead. I think in like up until the middle of the fourth quarter, you lose overtime to the Vikings. It happens. The Giants, you were favored in that game, lost that one. It's just like, like we feel like you should be, 6-2, and if you lose this one in New England, like you're okay. But now, it kind of feels a little like a must win. And for the Panthers too, like, next week you guys have a huge game against Cleveland. Next week we got to go to Arizona. May or may not have to face Kyler Murray. We'll see. They're still very good. Washington, and then you got some tough games for the last 4 games of the year. So it's sort of a similar position. I think the Patriots, of course, like you expect to be competing for the playoffs. I think Panthers fans were enticed by the possibility, but like you mentioned, Pat, realistically, I was like, you know what, if we get out of here with 8 wins, that's progress, and you build upon the defensive progress you made over the last couple of years, and you hope to put something better together on offense next year. But we'll see how it goes.
How pissed were you during the draft after you had traded a 2nd and 3rd round pick for Sam Darnold, and then you get to 8 and Justin Fields is sitting there at 8, and you're like, and I don't know how big and Mac, of course, and Mac, but like, I don't know how high you were on Fields or not, but he's sitting there at 8, and you're like, oh no, like we gave all this up for Darnold, and he's sitting there. And J.C. Horn, I think, is going to be a good player. Like, obviously, he got hurt before he could really show how good he could be in the NFL. But like, I think he's going to be a stud, corner, of course. But man, like that, I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah, it was mixed feelings. I was super high on Patrick Surtain, actually. So I was like, man, like we got the wrong corner, but Surtain's played well, and you're right. J.C. Horn was fantastic. Great in man coverage. There was concerns about him being too handsy. That didn't show up. He was great. I think in hindsight now, Justin Fields, I'm still on the fence about. However, I think the bigger miss for us was not taking Rashawn Slater. I think if Penei Sewell was there, we probably would have drafted him. Rashawn Slater is playing incredibly right now.
Yeah.
And that's where the Panthers really, like, that's the underrated thing, is like everyone on the outside is like, seeing Sam Darnold, chuck up a million interceptions, and they're like, oh man, they have a quarterback issue. The Panthers do, but what would really help is if we had a left tackle like Rashawn Slater, and I think that was the bigger whiff for us than even the quarterback. Man, that was huge, and the way our offensive line has been playing is just not been great. I kind of wrote about it right after the draft, though. Like, I like that they are implementing a defense wins championships strategy. I talked about it earlier, just how the defense is looking good, and it's been built. Like, them drafting J.C. Horn was just continuing to emphasize defense, and we've seen that win more than the quarterbacks that do great and win MVPs and all that stuff. And I wrote about that separately, but I think the bigger whiff for us was not taking Slater there, because our offensive line is putrid this year, and we could really use him.
Yeah. It's funny. This guy mentioned about, Jordan Gross. He was talking about since Jordan Gross died, but Watson being in legal trouble, obviously. And, Den, another locker room OG, talked about, that deal was essentially done. Right. And, I don't know. I mean, of course, I don't know, but and then he's in legal trouble and everything else. And so it doesn't happen. But, and then, you send out for Darnold instead. But, it's one of those things. Of course, we'll never know, right? We'll never know. But that's a possibility, at least, that could have happened. And of course, things go sideways on you, and it just kind of is what it is, But yeah, it's interesting how you look at it and say, oh, if we had taken a tackle, or if we had done this, or it's interesting to think about. Like, there are lots of other options kind of sitting there where it's like, oh, you could go this way, you could go that way. But again, if J.C. Horn turns into a top cornerback in the league, it's kind of like, oh, hey, you made the right pick after all,
Yeah, and they were there with Matthew Stafford as well. Like, and you can't blame. What are you going to do? Say blame the Panthers because Matthew Stafford wants to go win a Super Bowl with the Rams?
Right.
Like, no. Like, Deshaun. It's they wanted two veteran quarterbacks that out of their control, for legal reasons, and then for wanting to go play with a different team, you couldn't get. And I understand, not necessarily wanting to bring a rookie quarterback into a situation where, all right, Christian McCaffrey is, 4 or 5 years into his career. He's now, officially injury prone. So you want to make sure you capitalize on his prime. You have veteran receivers. You've got, a defense that is sort of gaining more experience. So I get why you'd want a veteran instead of a rookie. I didn't blame them too much for that. But yeah, they had a couple of situations that just didn't go their way. And that's the NFL. Yep.
Keegan, looked like you had another question, but if not, you're muted though. Keegan, you're muted. There you go. There he is.
My brain's broken. Sorry, guys. It's been a long week. No, once we started talking about Stefan Gilmore, I zoned out. I've had enough Stefan Gilmore talk for a lifetime.
I hear that. No, but Max, so before we let you go, what's your official prediction for Sunday?
Spread's 3.5.
Ooh.
Basically picking.
3.5. Who's way?
Patriots.
I believe the Patriots are favored. Yeah.
Patriots. Ooh, okay. Home dog. Okay.
Yeah, I really just don't know. And what's a funny stat? I was looking some things up. I know the Panthers are 4-3 all time against the Pats. And the funny thing about that is the Patriots have actually scored more points in the Patriots-Panthers all-time matchup than the Panthers have, but the Panthers have won 4-3. Isn't that crazy? I forgot what the score differential
They're always
was,
close, too.
They are always close, yeah. Yeah. Listen, it should be 4-3 Patriots. It's screwed in 2013 down there.
Yeah, that was a weird game. That was a weird game.
He rode Gronk out of the back of the end zone.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think the Patriots are going to win this football game. I would be a lot more confident in the Panthers if Sam Darnold was playing, to be quite honest with you, because not because I thought Sam Darnold was going to beat you as a passer, but I thought after seeing how he played against Atlanta, I trust him now to to game manage and to, make the right reads and the defense to carry it. PJ Walker, I had no idea. I have no idea how they're going to, survive, unless they really are able to just be successful on the ground. And then, he's only able to. It's almost like you have to try to win like the way the Niners did against the Packers a couple of years ago, where Jimmy G only threw 10 passes. It's like,
right.
Yeah. If you told me that were to happen, like I'd be on board. But I think the Panthers is going to be too one-dimensional. If it's no McCaffrey, no Darnold, I just don't see how they get it done. I mean, defense is going to. I think hold up their end of the bargain, and it's probably going to be a low-scoring game. I would say probably this is going to be like a 17-10 or 3 type of thing. But I just don't see it for Carolina, unfortunately.
All right. Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Max, I did a horrendous job introducing you. Just a terrible job introducing you. I just assumed
it's Max.
I just assumed like everyone knew you because I know you and we've been chatting for so long and everything like that. So, but before you go, then you got to tell everyone where they can read you and see you and hear you and everything else.
Yeah, I'll just say the easiest thing to do is just follow me. My Twitter handle's in the bio here. In the card here. It's at MXWZY on Twitter. I'm on Spotify Green Room at Max Weezy, spelled out MAXWEEZY, as well. But yeah, follow me on Twitter. I've got a lot of stuff.
Every morning, 10:30, every morning, Max Weezy in the morning. 5 days a week, this man is on, killing it.
Yeah, that's on Spotify Green Room. So
yes,
check that out. But yeah, on Twitter, I kind of blast on my content there. So check it out. And I appreciate Pat, Ryan, and Keegan, you all having me up here again. It's been really fun.
Of course. Thanks for coming through, man. We appreciate
Appreciate
it.
you coming on.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe you never know. A few years might be in the Super Bowl together, and who knows, right? So, but anyways, thanks, Max. Thanks for coming so much. We appreciate it, and we'll good luck on Sunday.
Thank you. Good luck to you guys.
Thanks, man. See you. All right, cool. That was good. All right, so we're moving on. Listen. I think, and I mentioned it to Max, right? And Max talked about it. Like, Carolina's a better team than I think we're giving them credit for. So we'll see. But I think Carolina's a better team than I think a lot of Patriots Twitter is giving them credit for. So I think that's something that I'm concerned,
Patriots
a little
Twitter
concerned.
Has their head so far up their own backside. It's been a week.
It's very true.
On the Bird app, as our friend Mark Schofield would say. It's been a tough week for the boys.
It has been. Yep. You're right. So,
all right. Ready for the offseason.
I know. Well, you listen. Now, hold on. Long season. Long season.
Let's relax here.
So, you know what? I'm excited about it. I am excited about kind of where this team is headed and how they're progressing and everything. And of course, where they're going to kind of go from here. So, look, and Spags, you mentioned it before last week. Spags predicted last week. He predicted it. He said. Spags for Damas over there said, Patriots going to win. They're going to win in LA, and they did. They went out and got the victory, which is huge.
All right, I had the Pats too. All right.
Oh, you did too?
Yeah, come on.
You
were the only one that was.
I was the only one. Ah, shit. I was the only dummy. Pat. I was lumping you in there with me, Keegan, because I didn't want to be alone on the being wrong.
I'm pretty sure I had the Patriots score correct. I just got the. I had Patriots 27-22.
Oh, there you go.
24, so.
There you go.
Your boy knows what he's doing.
It's your own fault. They picked up weird score, 22. Who picks 22? What's wrong with you? But anyways, all right. So we're gonna do 5-minute fantasy. Our guest, unfortunately, had some things come up, personal things come up, so he is not here. But we will be talking 5-minute fantasy, and we're gonna start off talking about Aaron Rodgers. So here, I'm just going to start the clock right now. 5-minute clock starts right now. Aaron Rodgers, what a freaking dope. What a freaking dope that guy is, dude. And I know it's not I mean, it's fantasy, obviously, right? But, what an idiot. He basically said that he was vaccinated even though he wasn't vaccinated and treated everything as if he were vaccinated even though he wasn't. It's unbelievable to me that he did that, and they're going to get investigated. And I think what Fitzy tweeted out, I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see. What the Patriots get. The Patriots get killed for. Punished for that. And Dark Blue Gold's not wrong. He's not wrong. I've had Michael Thomas on a few teams on the IR for 8 weeks, And yep, he's just friggin' out for the year. So that's terrible.
I've got a fun story if we want to do fun stories.
Let's do it.
Because last week, I don't know if everybody will remember, but Pat gave me some wonderful advice and told me to pick up Mike White, who gave me 32 points, I believe.
Killed it. KFC Player of the Week.
I won my fantasy matchup by less than 2 points. So thank you, Mike White. Thank you, Pat. And me and you, we've got each other this week. The battle of 6-2 teams.
Do we really? Look at that.
Me and you.
Woo!
I think you're gonna smash.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Although I have Derrick Henry on my team, and I lost Derrick Henry, so that's not good.
It's tough. You got Aaron Jones too, so
I do have Aaron Jones as well.
Help make things up.
That is helpful, but still, it's interesting where you kind of look at it and say, "What's going on?" Oh no. Played Cousins and Dark Blue Gold played Cousins and lost by 1.31. Yep, that's rough, dude. Kirk Cousins had a rough game. My Scott Fishbowl team has Aaron Rodgers in it. Luckily, I was able to snag Jordan Love off of waivers. I will be starting Jordan Love in the Scott Fishbowl this weekend. I don't care. They're playing Kansas City. Kansas City, of course, going to have a great game defensively, but like they should still be able to move the ball offensively because Kansas City stinks. And assuming, I'm also hoping that Adams is off of the COVID list by the time Sunday comes around, although that's not a guarantee because he's still on the COVID list right now as of Wednesday night. So not great to see, but lots of injuries coming through. By the way, those people that have Derrick Henry, don't drop Derrick Henry. Don't do it. Don't drop him. Even if you're only in a season-long league, do not drop Derrick Henry. He had surgery. Yes, it's 6 to 10 weeks is the recovery, right? But like some people are saying that it's possible that like he might come back a little bit earlier than that.
It's Derrick Henry.
Probably won't.
You say if anybody can, it's him.
That's the thing, right?
He's
He
like
might
Superman.
not.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be the asshole who dropped Derrick Henry and now you're going into the playoffs and someone else is playing Derrick Henry against you in the playoffs and that's why you lose.
On the flip side, if somebody in your league drops Derrick Henry, pounce on it. Like
Scoop.
you don't need like Ronald Jones or Sony Michel. Like cut him. Go get Derrick Henry if somebody.
Scoop him up right now. Speaking of scooping up, tight end at the tight end position, Pat Freiermuth. If you haven't already scooped him up, if he's somehow available in your league still, scoop that guy up. He plays for the Steelers. He's a rookie tight end. People should know who he is by now. But if you don't, he plays for the Steelers. Steelers throw to the tight ends all the time. He had a ridiculous catch in the back of the end zone to win the game against it.
Legend.
He's nasty. So pick him up for sure. Dark Blue Gold asked about QB streamers. I think it's not a bad idea. Derek Carr isn't a terrible idea. I know it sounds crazy. Taysom Hill, like, I mean, they're playing Atlanta. They're playing Atlanta, right? Like, I don't know. It's Atlanta. They stink. Tua, Tagovailoa, whatever the hell his last name is. They're playing Houston. Come on, dude. Like, they're playing Houston this week. So, Teddy Bridgewater against Dallas, like some of those guys. I always look at the matchups. Like Jimmy G, don't go anywhere near Jimmy G this week. He's playing San Francisco. He plays for San Francisco. He's playing in Arizona this week. Don't even touch him. So
James Robinson and Josh Jacobs, are they safe starts? What do you think?
Great question. I hate Josh Jacobs, but
James Robinson's hurt.
He gets touched on every game. Robinson is like questionable.
He's questionable, but he should play though. Robinson should play, I think. He missed practice on Wednesday, but he avoided serious injury last week, but he may not play this week. I think Jacobs, I don't know. I think Jacobs stinks. But
your boy's got
player,
Jeremy Go ahead.
No, as a player, I think he stinks. But as a fantasy guy, he does. He gets a touchdown every week. So it's kind of like, well, unless you have someone significantly better, put him in your lineup,
I just swapped out Sony Michel for Jeremy McNichols. I'm hoping like he's their feature guy this week.
That's the right move. That's the right move. Only because if you're talking about Sony compared to McNichols, you're looking at, AP. Like I don't look at Adrian Peterson. Like that doesn't matter to me. He got picked up on Tuesday. Like it doesn't make a difference.
He's also 37 years old.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's the timer, but he's Adrian Peterson. Like he's gonna do something, but like McNichols. The thing about and if you're talking about Sony Michel, now if you're taking someone else like Devery Henderson out, like Darrell Henderson, I mean. Don't take Darrell Henderson out and put Jeremy McNichols in. But, like, Sony Michel is a guy who's a backup. Like, he's going to play a little bit, but, like, not really. Right. You know what I mean? So, if you're talking about a dart throw, McNichols is a better dart throw than someone like Sony Michel. So, McNichols could put up big numbers this week. You never know. So, you never – are they playing the Colts this week?
That's a good question.
I'm pretty sure they're playing the Colts this week, aren't they?
They're playing the Rams.
I'm stupid. Nope, they're playing the Rams. Yeah, I'm dumb. So the Rams.
So same game.
Pretty good. It's pretty good defense. So, but either way, but I mean, it's so. But either way, I'd still start him.
I had to look up Adrian Peterson. 36 years old. He's been on 5 teams in the last 4 years. That's tough for once upon a time NFL MVP, 7 straight Pro Bowls.
Adrian Peterson is great for a guy that you want to give the ball to 15 times and have him just run directly into the line of scrimmage and pick up 2 yards.
Steven Jackson in 2015.
Right. That's literally what he is now. And every now and again, every 15 carries, he'll break one for 15 or 20 yards. You'll be like, oh, there's AP again. Oh my God. And it's like, no, not really, So yeah, Frank Gore makes AP look. I'll tell you what, Frank Gore doesn't make AP look like a spring chicken. When the game was on Monday night, I don't know if you guys watched the Monday Night Football game with the Kansas City, which was just such a terrible game.
Shout out Harrison Butker.
But yeah, no kidding, right? But I'm watching that game and they're handing it off to Gore, and I'm like, wait a second, did they sign Frank Gore? I'm like, what the hell is going on in Kansas City, dude? And they're like Derek Gore, and I'm like, who the hell is
pretty
Derek
well too?
Gore?
He ran hard.
He did, which I don't understand. Where the hell did that guy come from? They said he's been on the practice squad for 2 years, but what's his face gets hurt. CH gets hurt, and then they play Williams, as Dark Blue Gold says, and then it's like, okay, they're playing Williams, and they bring up Jerick McKinnon and play him, and then all of a sudden they roll with Derek Gore.
Hasn't played in 3 years because every year he tears his ACL in training camp.
Yeah, it was just a bizarre. It's almost like one of those things where it's like, well, if this guy was going to get a shot, wouldn't he have gotten a shot right away? And the funny thing is, he looks like Edwards-Helaire, right? He's short, stocky, kind of same type of guy, So
I'm starting to buy into the Kansas City's terrible at putting a team together idea, because they got lucky 3 times, and the rest of it's been ugh. That's a bad run.
It's not a very good team. It's not a very good team. It really isn't. And it's funny because
roster wise, they're not that great.
It's funny because I was talking, and not to relate it to basketball, but the Lakers are like this, where the Lakers is you have LeBron, you have Anthony Davis, you should have all shooters on your team. And they just bring in Rajon Rondo, who can't shoot. And it's well, what? And they bring in Westbrook, who's what the hell is that guy? That's stupid, So it's roster construction there, where it's oh, we'll just get the best looking guys over here. It's no, that's not necessarily going to do you any good. And Mahomes has been bad. Mahomes has been that. I think isn't. I mean, of course, everyone's talking about it, right? But that's one of those things where the AFC's wide open this year. Where if the Patriots can make a run here, if they can win some of these games, and Spags, you talked about it already. They could be 7-4 heading into that, or no. 7-8 and
maybe 8-4.
8-4 heading into Buffalo. If they're 8-4 heading into Buffalo and they split with Buffalo, I mean, all of a sudden you look at it and say, shit, the Patriots could be. I mean, they could be serious contenders to get to the AFC Championship game. I mean, you never know, of course, but I don't know. I mean, really, right now it's Baltimore and it's Buffalo. And they're in a tier by themselves, right? And it's and then everyone else is below them. And we expect Kansas City at some point is going to turn it on, and they just haven't been able to do it yet. I
think the AFC just stinks, guys. If we're being
honest. Might be right. I mean, you might be right.
Yeah, it's tough.
Which, hey, is good news for us, because the NFC being really good, they're all going to beat up on each other, and then the team that's going to come out of the NFC is probably going to win the Super Bowl. But
yeah, the AFC being mediocre is great for a mediocre Patriots team.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
It lined up perfectly this year.
It's very true. Also, before we leave, the Rams. Can we just talk about the Rams just for a minute? The roster construction of the Rams is so interesting, and it's something that I don't know how you guys feel about it. Some people say that they love it and they love what they're doing, and that draft picks are overrated, which they are, because the draft is a crapshoot. But also, look at what the Patriots have done, where they have drafted poorly, and not having those guys on cheap deals kills you after a while, right? That's what happened. That's what's happening with the Saints right now. The Saints bought in and were trying to win a championship, and were, paying guys, and had, a ton of veterans. And now they're at a point where they're way over the cap, and they got to cut guys and restructure and everything else. And it's that's really tough. And if the Rams win the Super Bowl this year, it's worth it. But if they don't, then it's kind of well, now what? So I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious about what you guys think about whether whether you like what the Rams are doing or not, and whether you think it's sustainable, or how the hell they're going to get out of it.
Yeah, it's they're going all in. If they get a ring out of it, it's
Right.
worth it. I mean, that defensive front's legit. That secondary's good. Matthew Stafford's playing good ball. But can they put it all together? I don't know. I mean, Stafford doesn't have a playoff win. I don't think that's the type of guy
tough
who
to
cracks
get,
under
yeah.
pressure and stuff. But, I mean, they're a top 3 team in the league. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine going all in, especially in the way that they're doing it. Like I think they would readily admit, like, in 2 years we're not gonna be very good, no matter what. No matter if everybody stays, they've got an old team with a lot of players that, like, they can win now, but how much longer are they going to be able to keep going? I like the idea of just being like, you know what, screw it. We're all in for this year, and if it doesn't happen, we're going to stink in the next few years anyway. So we might as well go all the way and try to get this ring.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I do think you got to be careful. Like what the Dolphins did in the draft last year was just so incredibly dumb. They traded their first round pick to move up and draft Jalen Waddle, and it's like, that's fine. Waddle looks like a good player, but like the Eagles get your first round pick, and then they still get Devontae Smith out of it, and they gave up a third to go up and get him. But like they're gonna have a top 10 pick in the draft because they moved back and traded Jalen Waddle for Devontae Smith. Like that's over the long term, it may not be an even trade, but that's like those two guys are fairly similar players, right? Like it's just, I don't know. That's the type of stuff for me where it's like, you want to go all in and you're the Rams and you're going to win a Super Bowl this year. Like, okay, I'm all right with that. But if you're going to do it and you're the friggin' Dolphins, like you got to be awfully careful with those draft picks, like that's San Fran did the same thing with the Patriots where they traded up. That's how they got Gerard Mayo. They traded their first round pick to go get Joe Staley. And, Joe Staley, obviously great player, but then you give up a top 10 pick the next year because you stunk, right? And it's like, so you got to be awfully careful about when you're trading those first round picks. That's what scares me. But anyways, So anyways, I guess it's neither here nor there. We got a little tangent there at the end, but I think we're done. What do you guys think? What do you guys think this weekend? Winning? Are we winning down in Carolina?
Big time win. Yeah, they'll blow them out. I think they're rolling.
So I agree.
This team's rolling, so.
I was on Kieran's show earlier. I think I went 33-17, so I'll stick with that. 33-17. I think Damian Harris has a big time game this week.
I hope so. I'm gonna say 24-21. I really think this team is good. I think that they're better than people are giving them credit for. I'm very concerned. Look at this. Dark Blue Gold predicting Jacoby Myers to get multiple 2-pointers and Henry.
That's a little shout out to Kieran's show. I said I want him to have 100 career points all on 2-point conversions.
That'd be so good. Yeah. I mean, that's just like he's scored. He's been in the end zone twice, both on 2-pointers. I mean, that's
three times.
3 times this year?
A touchdown, not this year in his career. He has a touchdown worth of 2-point conversions.
Unbelievable. So good. So I mean, it's crazy. So
also, before we go, I got a little fun fact for you guys. Did you know that Panthers defensive coordinator Phil Snow is the uncle of Dustin Pedroia?
I did not know that.
That's a fun fact, right?
That is an awfully fun. How the hell did you even find that out?
He was talking about Phil Snow, and I was like, oh, I gotta. Phil Snow was at Arizona State, I remember. So I looked up his Wikipedia. It's in there. It's a little fun fact for the.
That's wild.
For the fine folks at home.
All those guys are connected. You know what I mean? So. But anyways, all right, that's what we got. That's our show. We appreciate it, guys. And, we all expect a win. We need to win. And Spags, you've called must win last week. You called it. I think this week's a must win too, only because you need to beat this team, right? And then you got to win 2 out of the next 3. Well, I would say you got to win. I'd love to see them win 3 out of the next 4. And if you can win 3 out of the next 4, then that's huge for you. And you have to win this game if you're going to win 3 out of the next 4, because asking them to win 3 straight against, Cleveland and then the fourth game they have before the Buffalo
Tennessee
game is Tennessee, right? So you should be able to beat. We'll see what happens with Tennessee. We'll get there, but
Tennessee's on 10 days rest too,
right. But no Derrick Henry.
To prepare.
I don't know. We'll see. But either way, you have to win this game if you want to win 3 out of 4. So. To me, I don't want to label it a must win, but it's kind of a must win, So anyways, thanks guys. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.